Good afternoon. Please take your seats. We're going to get started with the interpreter's announcement. And I would like to introduce our two interpreters, Heidi Aboitis and Sagrario Cepeda. And I would like to thank you for supporting our event.
Thank you. I'll make an announcement in Spanish. Buenas tardes. Estaremos proporcionando interpretación en forma simultánea. Por favor, levanten la mano si necesita un aparato. No es el mismo que utilizamos en el tour, entonces si puede levantar la mano para que le pasemos a dejar uno. Aquí tenemos una persona allá arriba. ¿Alguien más necesita? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ok, 5. Perfecto. Muchas gracias. Gracias. Thank you.
Mantenga la mano arriba para que le den el aparato, por favor. Avísame cuando estás lista, Heidi. ¿Probando? You don't have any slides, right? You don't have any slides, right? Oh, okay. Director access over there.
Leo's getting them ready to get through a bunch of slides so that it goes in the right order.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, for the sponsors and stuff, the sponsor slides.
Yeah, he's gonna queue up the slides so it's in the order for you to go through.
Okay. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Sagrario. Next off, I would like to introduce Oscar Monge, our board chair at the California CLT Network and also associate director at Thurs South LA.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oscar from Thurs South LA, also board chair with the network, like Lydia said, he, him pronouns. First thing I want to say, I deeply appreciate the flexibility that everyone is showing and rolling with the punches here. As you can imagine, it can be very difficult to move over 250 people through the Bay Area. We had 3 buses going everywhere. I heard about stories, and I hope everyone enjoyed them, right? And I also wanted to thank everyone that has contributed to put this event together. The staff, Leo, Lydia, Shirley. I know that there's a couple of staff members that I haven't met yet that were hired specifically for this event. But thank you. I've seen you running around getting the food. As you know, our food was running a little late, but I want to also share that food did come from a tenant of a co-op in the Bay Area. It's a, what is it? Oh, but yeah, homeowner, sorry, thank you. Homeowner, of a CLT, property. And let me see, I guess I was trying to keep it short. As you can imagine, we had to shrink a lot of our schedule together today. But I do wanna hear who from this group is from a community land trust. If you can raise your hand and say woo, please. Okay, how about philanthropic partner? If you can raise your hand. And thank you for those. Thank you for everyone that came. City of I, anyone in the house? Couple over there. Yeah, this really can't, happen without all of us in this room. The network has been around for just about 6 years or so. We have our fabulous staff that just came on board like in the last 2 years, and it's just been amazing to have our conferences grow from them. First conference I attended, our board members were running around and getting food here and there. Now it's just amazing. Again, thank you to the staff for all the leadership. But I'd like to pass it next to Lydia to do a land acknowledgement and welcome us again. Thank you.
Thank you, Oscar. And before we continue, I would also like to thank profusely our staff that we hired for this event from NorCal Staffing, Rochelle, Gustav, Rose, and Daniel. The Oakland Museum of California occupies the unceded ancestral land of the Lisjan Ohlone people, who for hundreds of generations have belonged to the land that is now known as the East Bay of the San Francisco Bay Area. The Confederated Villages of Lisjan are one of many Ohlone nations, each with its own geography and history, and all of which were in reciprocal relationship with the land itself, as well as the plants and animals that share the earth and water. These lands were the traditional birthright of indigenous people, who were forcibly removed and have faced centuries of struggle for survival and identity in the wake of dispossession, displacement, and genocide. These people continue to inhabit their ancestral homeland and work to preserve its cultural and natural history and fight for its sacred sites and cultural resources. The Ohlone people, the people of all native tribes in California, and indigenous people who are part of the Native American diaspora in California, continue to live and flourish in our communities today. This acknowledgement was developed by the Oakland Museum in partnership with our network member, Sogorea-Te Land Trust, and reflects the California CLT Network's commitment to acting in solidarity with indigenous people from everywhere, as reflected in our value statement developed over the past year. You can find resources from the Sogorea-Te Land Trust at the table outside this room, including information on land back initiatives and the Shumi land tax. Thank you. And I would like to hand over the mic to Leo Goldberg, co-director at the California CLT Network.
Thanks, everyone. How we doing? How we doing? All right. We were going to tell you all about the exciting things happening in the CLT world of California, but we don't have time for that. Instead, we're going to have the CLTs tell you about the exciting things happening in California. So I'm going to be inviting a series of folks up to tell you about a project that's in motion that we think is really inspiring, and we're hoping to get your energy and ideas circulating. We've told them all that they only have 3 minutes or Shirley's going to start throwing water balloons at them. So they know that. They've been warned, and everyone's allowed to throw water balloons if they go over. Would Damien kick us off? Damien from Liberty Community Land Trust in Los Angeles.
Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to be here on behalf of Liberty Community Land Trust. I'm the Secretary Treasurer. We have two of amazing future members, Jose and Yvette, who are tenant leaders at Clemson Corbett, along with our Vice Chair, Zarita Jones, who are here. Give them some love, and they're going to be speaking on the panel a little bit later. So South Central Los Angeles, home to so many problems, and in a city where the unhoused population mirrors the prison industrial complex. We have about 9% of Black people in Los Angeles, but we have over 40% of those who are unhoused, and about those numbers pretty much mirror the prison industrial complex. Liberty Community Land Trust was created in just December of 2019 for the purpose of putting together an intentionally Black community-focused effort toward taking land off the speculative real estate market as fast as humanly possible to put it into democratically controlled hands. And we have grown very fast. 9 properties, 126 units under development and under control. Slow down for this, except for those. Well, you told me you were going to throw water balloons at me, but I get it done in 3 minutes. Before we even began the historic campaign for downtown Crenshaw Rising, an amazing tenant leader, photojournalist named Jose Lopez, who again, you have the opportunity to speak to later, started reaching out to us. He said, our buildings are owned by a very old guy who has a history of donating to Durand and to universities. How about they sell it to us? How about they sell it to a community land trust? And Mr. Pardee, who was the greatest benefactor to Boston University at the time, over 25 million, there's a school named after him that's supposed to be addressing global poverty, had passed and had sold these buildings. We did not know to what university, but we knew they had been sold. And it all occurred very, very rapidly. It was very difficult to figure out what had taken place. After 2 years in working with Jose and other CDC partners to try and reach them, we were being blocked. The man was getting older. We were questions about whether he was actually getting information. And then literally at probably the worst time for organizing. We're talking like 3 days before Christmas. Jose sends an emergency message to us, myself, Sarita, says, I got a bunch of speculators coming to our property. They're driving really fancy cars and they're walking through our building. Got pulled out title, figured out it was Boston University. I'm telling you, within 2 hours, we were on the phone with the representative of Boston University, explained the mission, and we were told, of course, Boston University would want to sell to you. And then of the 4 buildings that are Clemson Corbett, 4 buildings, 40 units, over 140 people, families that have been in this community, it's some as long as 50 years, Black and brown, really building a network in Garden Home Apartments. We found that after we did the walkthrough, not 6 days later, that they had put the building that Jose was in under contract to a speculator looking for a 1031 exchange. So we went from going nice, right? We know this strategy. Yeah, just work with us. We'll put together the financing to, okay, let's go, MF. And as for the California CLT network and Leo, okay, we found out that Steve goes to BU. We found out folk are involved, and we are currently under contract now after that fell out for all 4 buildings for 40 units, building with the tenants and moving into a limited equity home cooperative. But I want to encourage a couple things, that we look at these buildings and all of the Liberty properties as part of, yes, the solution to rampant gentrification and the ultimate solution of community control of land. But this also sits at the foot of the largest urban oil field in America. We live in the world of climate catastrophe. And so each of these units and every property that we do, we see how are we able to not just free them for the land, but make them resilient buildings. So we're talking net positive. We're talking about how we're able to bring in EV charging stations, which are ridiculously expensive, and build partnerships with those that provide those type of vehicles so that we can be part of this green revolution that is leaving marginalized and frontline communities behind. But it begins all with the tenants, and it begins with organizing. It begins with the network that activated itself in the middle of holiday to force Boston University into contract, and hopefully we will close very soon. Thank you so very much.
All right, give it up for Damien. And we have 2 of those Corbett Clemson tenants right here. You want to wave your hand so everyone can come say hi to you and ask you questions after this. Thanks for coming. All right, next up, would Gretchen from Long Beach come up? All right. All right, round of applause for Gretchen.
Hi, all. I was on the most awesome bus ride today into the Sierras. No, Oakland Hills. The ones that went with me know what I'm talking about. So Leo asked me to talk about this relationship we developed in Long Beach, and so it's going to be a little bit of a different twist, a different pivot of what was just shared. We went to bed with our city government. I know. We had a lot of knockdown, drag out discussions about the good guys, the bad guys, the enemy, the evil and whatnot. But a few years ago, we moved forward and as part of a community effort, put together a strategy to get CLTs into our housing element and then into our budget process, city budget process, which allowed for a sizable grant. Now we asked for 2 million, they came up with 800,000, but 800,000 was 800,000 more than we had. So you get that. Who'd have thought 3 organizations applied for that grant, and we were the one that got it. So yay. So what does that mean for us? So it's not for acquisition. It's just to form the CLT, which is awesome because you need people and you need talent and you need consultants and you need stuff to put this all together. So we have 2 years, $800,000. If you're interested in applying for a job, see me or reach out to the email on the slide. But there are some other implications. One is we learned through this group and all the training that Leo and Lydia have provided us is that it's important to make the city not just a partner, but informed. So last year we had our city come to the CLT Network conference in Los Angeles. It made all the difference in the world. So we don't usually spend time educating. Those on the other side really works well because the CLT is such a complex idea, and they're giving us a contract of that size. They want us to succeed, so they really have to be knowledgeable about it. So that's one of the implications. We've had a formation group, now we have a board. That's a really big transition. We're starting to hire staff and looking at our membership. I would say that the most important outcome of this process is building the community through volunteers. The people that went after the contract, not us, they came through a traditional corporate model. They had all the experts on the board. They knew people who knew people, and they had people. We didn't have any of that. That authentic process has been resounding in terms of success in getting interest. People not only want the accessible housing, but the self-governance is key. So I wish you all luck. And again, if we can help you in any way, we'd be happy to.
Thank you, Gretchen. And we're hoping to see more of those city RFPs for CLTs. So hoping to use this as an example. For our upcoming speakers, the water balloon threat's going to get even more real. So if you can help us stick to time so we can get to this reception later. Could we have Azucena and Jasmine from Bellina CLT come up? All right.
Buenas tardes, estoy un poco nerviosa. Mi nombre es Azucena y me dirijo a ustedes con el fin de compartir una situación que hemos enfrentado en el rancho donde vivo durante los últimos 8 años y todos mis vecinos. La traila en la que vivimos es muy vieja y lamentablemente hemos tenido que lidiar con problemas de higiene debido a la presencia de ratas de gran tamaño. Esto ha generado una gran preocupación para mí y mi familia, especialmente por la seguridad de mis hijas, así que tuvimos que tomar medidas urgentes. Además, en algunas ocasiones tuvimos problemas con el suministro de agua caliente y no contamos con agua potable. Yo utilizo garrafones de agua que relleno en la ciudad. También actualmente no me funciona un quemador de la estufa ya que solo tiene 3. En el año 2022 nos enfrentamos a otra situación difícil debido a las violaciones cometidas por el encargado del 20 de octubre de 1993 y por tal motivo la propiedad fue declarada como etiqueta roja por el condado y como resultado hemos tenido que utilizar un baño portátil durante más de 10 meses. Esta situación es verdaderamente muy difícil para nosotros, ya que creemos que merecemos vivir en condiciones más dignas y justas. Necesitamos tener un lugar seguro y adecuado para vivir, donde podamos brindar a nuestras hijas un entorno seguro, saludable, digno, poder vivir felices y tranquilos, que nadie más tenga que vivir en esta triste situación. CLT ha estado trabajando con nosotros para hacer un impacto positivo en las vidas de los residentes del rancho, incluyéndome a mí. Ha mantenido su compromiso de recaudar fondos suficientes para crear un parque de RVs de emergencia que proporcionará vivienda temporal segura y digna, muy necesaria para los residentes del rancho. Han estado utilizando los recursos y permisos a su disposición para asegurar que el parque de autocaravanas se mantiene en la fecha prevista, programada para abrir tan pronto como la próxima semana, con el apoyo de nuestra pequeña comunidad local, así como organizaciones. Además, el CLT y todos los residentes del rancho tienen una visión para el largo plazo. Planean colaborar con organizaciones para crear viviendas permanentes y asequibles para los trabajadores agrícolas, preservar los espacios abiertos mediante el uso agrícola. Realmente ha sido un esfuerzo colectivo. Nuestra visión es grandiosa, pero se basa en un compromiso compartido con un futuro más próspero, sostenible y equitativo para nuestra comunidad. Y seguiré luchando hasta lograrlo. Tengo fe que lo voy a lograr.
My name is Jasmine. I'm going to be translating what Azucena said. My name is Azucena, and I'm writing to you in order to share a situation that we have been facing at the Techera Ranch for the last 8 years, my family and all my neighbors. The trailer we live in is very old, and unfortunately, we had to deal with hygiene problems because of the presence of large rats. This has generated a great concern for me and my family, especially for the safety of my daughters. In addition, on some occasions, we had problems with hot water supply, and we do not have drinking water. We use water bottles that I have to drive over 2 hours to refill in the city. Also, currently, one burner of the stove is not working. In the year 2022, we faced another difficult situation due to violations committed by the landlord since October 20th, 1993. For these reasons, the property was declared as red tagged by the county, and as a result, we have had to use a portable toilet for more than 10 months. This situation is truly very difficult for us, and we believe we deserve to live in more dignified and fair conditions. We need to have a safe and adequate place to live where we can provide our daughters with a safe, healthy, and dignified environment and be able to live happily and peacefully, and that no one else has to live this sad situation. Bolinas Community Land Trust has been working with us to make a positive impact on the lives of the Techera Ranch residents, including myself. It has remained committed to raising sufficient funds to create an emergency RV park, which will provide much needed safe and decent temporary housing for the residents of the ranch. They have been using resources and permits at their disposal to ensure that the RV park stays on scheduled to open as early as next week. With the support of our small community, as well as other organizations such as West Marin Fund, Marin Community Foundation, and the County of Marin, it has truly been a collective effort. In addition, the BCLT and all of the ranch residents have a vision for the long term. They plan to collaborate with Marin County, the Marin Community Foundation, Maltz, and other partners to create permanent, affordable housing for farm workers, preserve open space through agricultural use, and embark on a wetland restoration project to enhance sensitive habitats. Our vision is grand, but it is based on a shared commitment to a more prosperous, sustainable, and equitable future for our community. Thank you.
Y olvidé decir que todos merecemos una vida digna y respeto. Todos merecemos eso.
We all deserve safe and dignified housing, all of us. Thank you.
All right, let's give it up again for Azucena and Jasmine. Ian Winters from Northern California Land Trust and California Community Land Trust Network board member.
Okay, it's awesome to see so many people here and since amazing bus tour. So Woolsey Gardens, I know that there's working with an amazing team at NCLT, many of whom are here, and Suzanne, who's leading the development, will be here tomorrow. If Woolsey sparks your imagination, you've got to talk to her about it. This is, you know, everyone has put so much time into this project. So what is it? We got a design grant from the California Energy Commission to design a new zero net energy mixed use project. So the site is our office building and our home and the home of many community organizations over many decades. And we need to replace it because it's a brick building on the Hayward Fault. It's near the end of its life. And so we've proposed a new zero net energy, all solar, all resilient building that will house 65 households, plus all the organizations that are currently on the ground floor, with new facilities that don't have crumbling brick dust on them. It was once called the dust of justice. Although when you're the landlord and an attorney says that, you get slightly nervous. And one of the things that we're trying to do is to make a new ownership development, which many people have said repeatedly, that's impossible. You're never going to be able to do it. Well, we've now raised $2.5 million towards doing it. We have our entitlements. We're going 8 stories up right next to Ashby Bart in an area, you know, it's recently been rezoned. So we're doing 100% affordable project, unlike what people don't realize in Berkeley is there are many 10-story buildings going in, all of which will be rental and mostly not affordable. So we're trying to bring that control back to the community, and also to really make real. Berkeley has a right of return policy that is in process. So far, to us as an organization, it feels a little hollow. You know, great, you have the right to return to buy a $1.6 million bungalow that needs work. Oh, okay. So we're trying to make 100% affordable development that is both a cooperative development for about half of it, so that really anybody can purchase into that, and the condo and CLT limited equity condo for the other half of it that is for people at 70 to 80% of AMI. And what else? There's some renderings. If you look at woolseygardens.org, you can see more about it. We've got this unbelievable and amazingly largely pro bono team of just amazing architects and designers and legal people helping us and trying to really build a model for how do we, instead of just complaining about development, how do we do development that benefits us all and is in grappling with the fact that we need resilient buildings. You know, this crystallized the project for me on the day that the sun was blacked out and turned blood red at noon in Berkeley. And there was ash and cinders raining, raining down on the sidewalk that you see in front of here. And you went, yeah, Berkeley will burn too. Like we need to, like, all of our cities face all of this. So how do we adapt to this change and face it head on, and really face it with a lens of economic and racial and energy justice? Because this, as Damien said, the green revolution needs to be a green revolution for all of us, not just a privileged few living in their retreat. A community is resilience. So I will leave it there.
So the CLT network gets our mail at NCLT, which we're very appreciative of. And I've said to Ian many times, we're just so impressed that they're going to go all this trouble to make us a new mailbox, which I'm imagining will be that at the top on the roof with a view of the bay. Looking forward to it. Mia Carbajal from Richmond Land, please come up.
Hi, everyone. It's really great to be here with you all. Before I start, I know we all get into this work with housing because we know housing is essential to life and how precious life is. And there's been a lot of loss of life this week. So I'm going to give 30 seconds just for us to grieve if you need to. Thank you. Okay, so thank you all for everyone who joined us in Richmond earlier today that got to see our sites. I'm here to talk about the same project, but offer a little bit more details about what we're planning. And so our North Richmond Eco Village, this is the project that we hope to build over the next 3 years now that we've been awarded 4 public housing sites through a equitable RFQ disposition process that we helped craft and got us a site amenable for CLTs. What we plan to do with the site after demolition and financing and all of the stuff we love to do as developers, we want to build an amazing eco village that actually is a concept driven by the 2 individuals you see in the image in the top right, Princess Robinson and Alfonso Leon. They envisioned this 20 to 22 high quality, sustainably structured eco village that really leverages the location where the site is at, which is adjacent to a creek that runs across the neighborhood next to that anchors the school community that is the only elementary K-8 institution in the neighborhood, and really wanting to bring their creativity and environmental activism into the site. And so what they've imagined is to create around 460 square foot micro cottage sustainable units that are going to serve individuals earning from 30 to 60% AMI, which is currently where you need to be building affordable housing to have impact in our region, in our part of the region. They will serve 1 to 2 person households. The concept actually came out because both Alfonso and Princess are associates of the urban farm that are close to the neighborhood. And as you can see, there's a postcard here that we did when we were first doing community imagination around the site. And it's people like Tanya and Luis, individuals, small families, couples that just, the housing stock in Richmond does not match their needs. We have over 60% single family homes, and they knew that we needed to create a different type of product to meet the gap of where so many young people, elders, singles elders that are aging to have a place to live. And we knew that we wanted to create programmatic features to be able to rehab this incredible asset, which is the creek, and also create the programming that the children in the community want to do around the creek and educate them. And so there are amazing features that we want to include into this project. We want to bring in solar panels on top of the parking, which is something we're thinking through, a water catchment system, and as well as community garden beds to try to bring in revenue, because hopefully the future of the building will include a housing co-op that is going to live in the site. And we are working with a co-op incubator in our area to figure out how the co-op can create revenue through the site so that they can operationalize their building. And Richmond Land intends to, be a sponsor in that. I think we're all still sort of learning what it really takes to be able to nurture a group of people who want to establish a housing co-op, both the training and education. And so we're also in a big process of field building in our area with our partners who know housing is a need and who have amazing skills in educating and training about how to establish the housing co-op that's going to live here. But we are in our infancy in this project. We just got our award on September 12th. So much to come, but thank you for giving us a chance to share with you all.
All right, thank you, Mia. We are going to have Stephanie from Casa Familiar to round us out. Give it up for Stephanie.
Put this a little down for me because I'm short. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephanie Montes. I am with Casa Familiar, nonprofit organization in San Diego, California. And specifically, the community land trust that we have is called Avanzando San Isidro Community Land Trust. And just like Mia had mentioned, our project as well is in the early stages. We're in pre-development. And it is a project of 103 units. It's going to be located on 2 different plots of land. And right now, our vision at the organization is, what does holistic development, holistic community development look like? And for us, it's the idea of building generational wellness and including all the voices at our community and building this housing. So currently in our stage for the housing project, it's going to be a mixed use multifamily housing, and it's going to be from 30 to 60% AMI. And yeah, thank you. 30%, and our estimated construction date will end date, hopefully when all the buildings will be done, would be 2026. So we have a couple of years ahead of us, but right now, as we're preparing for the design, we are currently doing an architect design challenge, right? And part of holistic development means, how can we reimagine the communities that we live in, and what can that look like? So we've invited 3 selected architects to work with the community and workshop ideas of what the design of the housing is going to look like. What are those bedrooms going to look like? What are those community spaces going to look like? And how are they going to feel and belong in this community? Because after, it's going to be initially 15 years of renting, and after 15 years, it's going to turn into home ownership. So we really want to invest in the voices of our community to advocate to what is it that they really want in this housing, and how is that going to reflect their culture and their sense of belonging. We also do provide supportive services at Casa Familiar. So right now we have like financial literacy workshops. We have spaces for like art galleries, and we're working in conjunction with other projects at Casa Familiar that are promoting that holistic development aspect of it. One of our projects, as you can see, the first top one is one of the lots that will be located, and then the bottom one is the second lot. Across that red line is a project we're working on called the Cultural Corridor. It's to promote the use of public transit. We know that San Isidro is known as a commuter town, so we want to implement the use of public transportation, address environmental justice as well on that end. And we are also working on a project called La Semilla, which is a climate resiliency park. They'll be walking distance from these 2 lots. So overall, we just really want to promote that generational wellness for our community. And I feel so honored that today Irma Cepeda with Casa Familiar one of our long-term community residents is out here advocating and learning, and that's what we want to promote here, right? Education for our community. So thank you all.
All right, give it up for Stephanie and everyone who came up here and stood in the hot lights to tell us about their awesome projects. I think it's really special to see the different kinds of partnerships that these projects embody, the different challenges that they're addressing. And we're going to be hearing about a lot more inspiring projects in the workshops this afternoon and tomorrow. So this was a taste. So thanks again. Okay. So we're gonna, our timing is different than planned this afternoon. So I'm gonna give you some new timing. The next thing we're doing is going to a bunch of workshops. One will be in this room. Other two will be in 2 rooms that I'll tell you about in a second. And they're going to start in 10 minutes. So let's call it 4:10. And they're going to run until 5:20. So we need our moderators to really kick off in 10 minutes so we don't run even later than we are. And from there, we are going to head to a reception at Preservation Park, which is a different venue than the one we're at. It's about a 20-minute walk away. It's a very short taxi away. There's also a bus that goes from right outside the museum that goes there. We're going to be there from 5:30 to 9:30. You don't have to sprint over, but we are going to be kicking off some programming of interest, including a group picture around 6. So my hope is that people roll in starting at 5:30, get there by 6. We're going to have drinks. We're going to have food. It's going to be fun. Okay. So if you want to walk as a group, I think a bunch of people are going to be walking, but I know Lydia, who maybe just dipped around the corner, is going to be outside the museum, ready to walk a group over at, let's say, 5:30. Does that make sense? That'll be out on the street, on Oak Street, at the main entrance to the museum. And if you, maybe some local CLT folks who know their way across to Preservation Park, do you want to raise your hands if you are going to walk? Do we have people who we know are walking? Ian's going to walk. Elizabeth. So there's going to be people. And if you are concerned about the journey over, just find me and we'll arrange something. Okay, a couple other logistics. What's happening next? 3 workshops. The first is happening in this room, so you can stay here if you want to be there for it. It's tenant organizers and CLTs collaborating to stop displacement. That's here in 10 minutes. In the California room, where you'd leave this room into that aisleway and just go straight across through the doors and down the corridor there. That'll go to that big wood sculpture, and the California room is just off by that wood sculpture. And we're going to have the state of CLTs nationally and globally. We have CLT people from all over the world who are going to be talking to you there. And then in the lecture hall, which is again down that corridor, instead of stopping when you get to the wood sculpture, just keep on going down the corridor to the lecture hall. And there's going to be folks helping show you the way. We have Indigenous sovereignty, CLTs, and conservation trusts, intersections, and opportunities. Okay? And all of that is in your Whova app, or it's on our website. You got it. Okay, we talked about getting to Preservation Park. If you're driving to Preservation Park, there's instructions about a parking lot. If you don't park in the parking lot, don't have anything visible in your car. And tomorrow morning, breakfast is at 8, and then we're going to start with the program at 9. Yeah, you might as well smash your window now. Just get it over with. Yeah, don't have visible stuff in your car is the way I go. Okay, so we're going to see you in 10 minutes. Some of you will be here, the others at the 2 rooms down the corridor. Thanks, everyone.